When The Batman was announced with Robert Pattinson in the lead role, expectations were sky high. Fans wanted a new take on The Dark Knight, darker, more detective-driven, and closer to the comics. Many believed Pattinson could bring something fresh after his work in smaller films that proved he was more than just the Twilight guy. The trailers only fueled the hype, promising a gritty noir story and a new style of Gotham. But when the movie arrived, reality didn't match the promise. Instead of a powerful and commanding Batman, audiences saw a character who felt passive, gloomy, and strangely unconvincing. His Bruce Wayne lacked charisma, his presence as Batman wasn't intimidating, and the film often felt more focused on mood than on making Batman the true center of the story. This introduction sets the stage for a difficult question. Is Robert Pattinson simply the weakest Batman yet? Many fans think so, and the reasons are worth exploring. When Robert Pattinson was first announced as Batman, the reaction was mixed but curious. Many fans were skeptical, remembering his role in Twilight, but others were hopeful after seeing him prove himself in indie films like Good Time and The Lighthouse. Expectations grew when the director promised a darker, detective-focused story, something that felt closer to the comic book roots of Batman. The trailers amplified the hype, showing gritty visuals, a brutal fighting style, and a Gotham that looked more realistic than ever. Fans believed they were about to see a bold, fresh version of The Dark Knight. The reality, however, was disappointing for many. Instead of a strong and commanding Batman, Pattinson's performance felt flat and almost fragile. His Bruce Wayne was pale and lifeless, lacking the charisma and playboy mask that makes Wayne believable. Even in the suit, his Batman often looked more sad than intimidating. The gap between what fans expected and what they saw on screen was huge and damaging. A superhero like Batman lives or dies by how he looks and how he feels on screen. With Robert Pattinson, this is where many fans believe things started to fall apart. Batman is supposed to be intimidating. He is the shadow that criminals fear in the dark alleys of Gotham. When Christian Bale walked into a room as Bruce Wayne, he looked powerful, and when he put on the suit, he felt untouchable. Ben Affleck, despite criticism of the films around him, had the body type that screamed, "This man could break you in half." Even Michael Keaton, though smaller in size, had the mysterious energy and gothic edge that made him convincing. Pattinson, in contrast, lacked that physical dominance. His thinner frame made the Batsuit look almost too big for him, and in fight scenes, he didn't project the same fearsome aura. Instead of a predator, he often looked like someone still trying to grow into the role. Costume design also worked against him. While previous Batmen had sleek, high-tech or visually striking suits, Pattinson's looked rough and improvised. Some fans appreciated this realistic approach, but many thought it weakened the image of Batman. Instead of appearing as Gotham's unstoppable protector, his suit made him look like a cosplayer. Dark, serious, but not truly iconic. Equally damaging was his Bruce Wayne. One of the most important aspects of Batman is the dual identity. At night, he is the terrifying vigilante. By day, he must convince Gotham he is a careless billionaire playboy, hiding his darker truth. Christian Bale did this perfectly. His Bruce was charming, social, and completely different from his Batman. Pattinson, however, didn't even attempt this mask. His Bruce Wayne was pale, tired, and constantly brooding. He looked more like a depressed recluse than a public figure running a billion-dollar empire. Without that duality, the character felt incomplete, like only half of Batman's identity existed on screen. The lack of contrast between Batman and Bruce Wayne damaged the overall performance. Pattinson's Batman and Bruce felt like the same person, quiet, sad, and socially disconnected. This not only made the character less interesting, but also weakened the illusion that one man could realistically hide his identity. If Bruce Wayne is just as gloomy and strange as Batman, wouldn't everyone in Gotham connect the dots? In the end, both visually and in character, Pattinson's Batman lacked what makes The Dark Knight iconic. He was missing the physical intimidation, the stylish presence, and the dual identity that define the role. Instead of elevating Batman, he reduced him, leaving fans to wonder if this was truly the weakest version yet. To understand why Pattinson feels weak as Batman, it helps to look at those who came before him. Christian Bale in the Dark Knight trilogy gave audiences a complete hero, a Bruce Wayne who balanced charm and trauma, and a Batman who was brutal yet believable. Bale's performance showed range. He could be a billionaire playboy in one scene and a terrifying vigilante in the next. Ben Affleck, though controversial, brought raw physical power. His Batman was huge, intimidating, and visually terrifying in combat. The warehouse fight in Batman vs. Superman remains one of the most brutal and memorable action sequences in Batman's history. Even Michael Keaton, without modern CGI, delivered a gothic, mysterious version that became iconic in the late 1980s and 1990s. Pattinson, by contrast, struggles to stand out. He lacks Bale's charisma, Affleck's power, and Keaton's unique presence. When fans think of defining Batman moments, Pattinson's version simply doesn't come to mind. One of the biggest criticisms of the Batman is its tone and pacing. The film tried to be a slow-burn detective story, but often felt more like an endless exercise in atmosphere. Scenes dragged on, the dialogue was heavy, and the focus on mood overshadowed storytelling. Instead of thrilling or shocking audiences, the film too often felt dull. The tone also weakened Batman himself. Rather than showing him as Gotham's protector or a terrifying figure for criminals, Pattinson's version came across as passive, always reacting instead of leading. Even the Riddler, the main villain, seemed to control the narrative more than Batman did. In a Batman movie, the hero should dominate the screen. But here, he was overshadowed. While earlier films balanced darkness with energy and momentum, Pattinson's film leaned too far into gloom. The result was a Batman story that looked stylish, but left audiences struggling to stay engaged. The release of the Batman sparked heated debate among audiences. Critics largely praised the film for its cinematography, atmosphere, and darker tone, but fan reactions were far more divided. Some viewers enjoyed seeing a detective-style Batman, but many others felt disappointed by Pattinson's portrayal. A common complaint was that Pattinson's Batman seemed too passive and lacked the commanding presence that fans expect from The Dark Knight. Instead of striking fear, he often looked brooding and fragile. His Bruce Wayne was even more divisive. Audiences found him dull, lifeless, and one-dimensional, missing the charisma that balances the character. Social media quickly picked up on this, with countless memes calling him the emo Batman. While jokes can be lighthearted, they reflect a deeper truth. Many fans didn't take his version seriously. Instead of cementing himself as a definitive Batman, Pattinson left audiences questioning whether he was miscast in one of cinema's most iconic roles. Robert Pattinson is not without talent, but his version of Batman failed to live up to the legacy of the character. The role demands a hero who inspires fear in criminals, commands respect from allies, and balances darkness with charisma. Pattinson's Batman, however, delivered mostly gloom without power, and his Bruce Wayne felt incomplete, pale, lifeless, and missing the dual identity that makes the character compelling. Compared to Christian Bale's layered performance, Ben Affleck's physical dominance, and Michael Keaton's unique Gothic style, Pattinson simply fades into the background. His Batman didn't define the film. Instead, the villains and the atmosphere overshadowed him. For a character as iconic as the Dark Knight, that is a major failure. In the end, Pattinson's Batman may work for some fans who enjoy a moodier, quieter approach. But for many others, he represents the weakest version yet, proof that even one of cinema's most legendary roles can feel empty in the wrong hands.